Hey everybody, it's me, Undead Viking. I want to take some time out of your day to talk to you about this game. It's called Darkrock Ventures, and Darkrock Ventures is a game that is currently in Kickstarter, and I think doing pretty well actually. It is a game of dice and resource collection and mining, and well, I guess space mining if you will, because you're mining this giant asteroid, and you and everybody else is kind of running this corporation, and you're trying to be the best at what you're doing. Now, this is a worker placement game that involves dice, so I knew I was going to like it. I'm a big fan of worker placement. I kind of just like that whole process. I like the idea of placing a spot and like claiming it, and maybe possibly blocking somebody else from using it, and also in these games, usually turn order is very, very important, and I really like that as well. I like having to try to kind of plan ahead, kind of seeing that, like, if there's two people ahead of me, they're like, oh, please don't take that spot, I want so bad, you know, that sort of thing. It provides a certain amount of tension, and it provides a certain amount of puzzle solving, and also the addition of dice and the chaotic randomness of dice, and then, like, the actual extra puzzle that it affords also challenges me and makes me enjoy the game even more. So let me tell you, like I said, as I always do, how to play this one, and then we'll come back here and I'll go a little bit deeper and a little bit further into why I enjoy it. Alright, cool, let's do this. Alright, this is Darkrock Ventures, and this is the game board, and this is one of the player boards as well. This game is up for 4 people. As you can see, there are the 4 different scoring markers there. And I'm not showing you each and every one, but just so you keep in mind, this is a prototype, so what you see in front of you may or may not be indicative of what the final game looks like when it is published. Alright, so each player gets one of these player boards, and to start off with, they get 3 workers. You can see that there. They get 1 rig die, which is right there, and they have 3 cargo holds open, 1, 2, 3, and the ability to increase them, and that's the marker that kind of, as you increase your cargo holds, you'll slide this that way. You'll notice that this particular meeple here has this star on them. That is the captain worker. When you have a captain, they function as 2 workers. So when you activate a spot, you basically activate it twice. You get the same result twice. It's your option. You don't have to do that, but usually you will do so because it is in your best benefit to do so. This is the asteroid that you will be mining, and you'll be attempting to collect these resources, and then you place those resources in your cargo hold, and then you try to sell the resources by exporting them using that location there. As this is a worker placement game, you can see there are several different spots that you can place your workers, and I will explain how that works here in just a brief moment. So, there are several different types of resources that you can collect, and each of those are worth a different amount of money, and money is the victory points located in this game. There are 2 types of energy, both solar and neutronium, and that is important that those are energy, and when they get used or sold, they are returned to their respective spots. There's this big difference between the actual resources that you collect from the different types of metal that you collect. When you collect those, they're gone, and once you sell them, then they're gone. It is not a like self-rejuvenating mine, if you will. And that's actually the time limit of the game as well. Once you have depleted 3 of these locations on the board, at that point then the game is considered to be in its end phase. You do 1 more turn, and then whoever has the most money wins. So, to begin playing, whoever is the first player, and you determine that randomly in the first turn, but after that it is determined by whoever has the leaderboard, or there's a location here that allows you to take the leader token. But whoever is the leader will take these 2 power dice, and then they will roll these. And these are important dice because the players will be using these dice in coordination with their rig dice to activate different mining locations that are on the board. And so you're going to be hoping to take this 2 and this 5, and you see what they have there, and then depending upon what you roll on your rig die, you then can combine that with that, and then hopefully activate one of these mining locations, and then pull resources out of the asteroid. Now this is one of the most fun parts about the game, because when you have a 2 or a 5, you have to kind of hedge your bets now at this point. And you're going to be trying to figure out, well, if I roll a 3, then I'd have a 5 or an 8. And so, like, do I want to put, things on the 8 and so forth like that. And so you're trying to figure out what you can use and what you can do to, place your workers on these different locations. Obviously, you're not going to probably want to put one on 12 or 2 because we don't have a 1 or a 6, and so the chances are you won't be able to get that unless you can modify the die roll slightly, which is something you can do using some of the other locations that are on the board. But I'll explain that here. So, starting, then now you will start assigning your workers to the different locations on the board. And so, just like lots of worker placement games, as you place these on these locations, you use them up, and nobody else can place another worker on there. So like yellow couldn't come over here and place one on that spot if it was taken. The same goes for these spots in the middle. If you're going to be placing, you can't place them on the spot. Now, there is something that is different with this. However, because of the fact that there is a spot called the delegate spot, which is right there. And if you use the delegate spot, then you can immediately then place another one of your particular workers on another spot that somebody else is also already there. This does not work, however, if somebody has placed a captain in that location. The delegate spot won't let you place another worker in a spot where a captain is located. The captain pretty much just shuts down a spot once it is placed, and it's very powerful for that purpose, and for the fact that it activates a spot twice. You get to use it twice because it is the equivalent of 2 workers. I already explained that there's that leader spot as well. If you do take that spot, you immediately take the first player marker, or actually the leader is this case, this card. It says leader on the top. And when you do that, you also get a neutronium cube as well. Neutronium has a couple of very powerful uses, which I'll explain in just a little bit. But that is a bonus for taking that particular spot. Kind of going around the table here, and these might be a little bit tough to see, but there is the rough imaging spot, which allows you to add 3 or minus 3, not up to 3 or up to minus 3, but 3 to your combination roll when you roll your rig die. So like if you rolled, let's just say, so we had a 4 and a 9, and so if you had like a 6, you could add, like you could say, I'm going to minus 3 from that, or I'm sorry, that really wouldn't help because there's no spot with a 3, but a 4 and a 5, and let's say you had a worker on 6, like so. Now this wouldn't really make too much difference because a 4 plus a 2 would still equal that, but if you had a spot there and, say this was a 1, you could add 4 plus 5, 9, minus 3, and then get it down to the 6, like so. If you had a worker, luckily, let's say, on 12, like so, you could have 4 plus 5, 9 plus 3, and 12. And you can mine one of those very rare platinum pieces up there that are worth a lot of coins. You have also a spot where precision mining, it's a plus or minus and just 1. And so you just plus or minus 1 for the roll that you're on there. If you have a captain on there, you can double that, and the captain doubles all those things. So it can be plus or minus 2. Same with this one, the plus or minus 3. It could be, plus or minus, 6, or, in that particular location. They have a rover location on there. What a rover does is it allows you, if you choose to do it, you allow to move one of your mining people one space either clockwise or counterclockwise around the spots. And so if you do that, then obviously you can then move to a different location where then you can actually maybe mine because of what your rig die has rolled. And that's, having that flexibility is very powerful. Notice you can't move into a spot where somebody would have a captain, however. So if this captain location is here, I couldn't move into that location. Once again, the captain would block me from doing that, just as before. However, if somebody just had one of their workers like this, I could go ahead and move over there like so. So then, that is, the power of the rover. There is also this vortex drill location there. If you have that, you can then take whatever you rolled as your rig dice and literally flip it over to the other side and turn it into the other number. Once again, something that it gives you a little bit more variation and a little bit more flexibility. It is important to note that you are placing these workers prior to actually rolling your die. So it is very important to remember that it is, kind of one of those things where you're planning ahead and you're kind of hedging your bets. Is one of the things that I really enjoy about this. Okay, moving on, you have this cargo location. Here, this spot allows you to open up one cargo spot for free on your player board. This spot allows you to open up 2 cargo spots at the price of $1, and then $1 is a point, so you just would move your spot back one. Over here in crew, this allows you to recruit either a normal crew or a captain. The normal crew costs you $3, a captain costs you $5. You can release a crew or a captain and gain money back. If you release a crew, you get $2 back. If you release a captain, you get $3 back. And you can also just put your characters on the subcontract spot, and if you do that, you just earn money. So if you put one player on there, you earn $1 for going there with a normal crew. If you put a captain on that spot, you earn $2. So they're basically out doing odd jobs or whatever and earning you a little bit of money on the side. Over here, down here, this is the rigs, and this location allows you to actually kind of adjust what your rigs are able to do. The rig rental spot allows you to borrow and roll another rig die that you haven't actually purchased yet. Normally, you don't get these dice until you actually earn $10, and so you can see the little location here. Once you've earned $10 as a company, you get another rig die. Once you earn $20 as a rig company, you earn another rig die. So this allows you to roll an extra die. Then the next spot is called the rig mod, and allows you to actually, then if you have 2 dice, it allows you to, when you roll these, it allows you to add these together and turning one of your rig dice into a power dice instead of having to use one of these to do it as well. And I should mention that this black die up here is also a power die, but we haven't rolled that yet because I'm kind of explaining different locations, but I'll explain that. So this will be a die that you'll be using as well. The final location is the rig reboot, which that just basically allows you to re-roll one of your own rig dice. So like if you rolled like all 3 of your rig dice, and then when you got to your resolution, you could like pick one die and re-roll it. So that's what that location is. The last spot here is the export spot, and it has a 1, 2, or 3. And when you go to those locations, it allows you then to export your minerals and make money. And there's a little, and you probably can't see it here, but it shows dollar amounts for the white cubes you earn $8, for the blue cubes you earn $6, for the orange cubes you earn $4. For the solar cubes, you earn 3, and for neutronium, you earn $1. Now, the final spot is this solar array. This is kind of a unique location because when you go here, you place it at the opening spot like so, and then when you get to the resolution phase, you move your workers down in these spots, and as the longer you keep a worker working here, the more solar cubes they get to withdraw when you pull them off. And so like the first one, they get 1 solar cube, the second one they pull 2 solar cubes, and the last one they pull 3 solar cubes. And as always, if you have the captain spot there, you get to double that as well. Alright, so that's all the different locations on the board, and you'll be placing your workers in those different spots and using up those places. After all the little workers are placed, then whoever's the leader, and it might not be the same leader because if somebody used that spot, you've moved the leader from who was leader before, will roll this last die. And so then they add that to the rest of the power dice, and then you can go through there. Now, as long as nobody has used an export action, you're not going to draw one of these cards, these Therian Marauders. These are the pirates or the horrible aliens that are going to come and attack you and try to destroy or make your miners flee from the areas. But as soon as somebody has exported and made some money and turned in some points, they get alerted and they start coming. And so if they've been alerted, what will happen is somebody we will draw the top card and have that effect. Now, the interesting fact is if that's going to happen, when these two dice are rolled, and and you roll doubles, like so, you can't have doubles. You have to re-roll one of the dice until you actually roll something different. So like so. But as soon as you roll doubles, you flip the top card over, and it tells you the location on the board where the Therian Marauders are going to attack. Otherwise, you just don't have any idea. It's completely random, and you just have to hope that your spot isn't picked. If you have a worker in a spot, here this is the crew location, if you have a worker in these locations, you have to either, one, spend a neutronium cube that you've collected to activate the shields in that location, so you are not affected by the marauders. They can't attack you. Or your workers have to flee from that location without, and so they aren't affected, so they can't actually resolve the thing, and so you've placed those characters in that location for no good. You don't get to do the action. Or you can turn in any, like if you had different resources in your cargo hold, you can trade one in for a neutronium and then immediately activate that neutronium to protect yourself from the Therian Marauders. That's very costly, but you might run into a situation where it is to your benefit to do so, in which case. So after you've taken care of the Therian Marauders, then you will move on to starting with the leader. You will take turns rolling. Each person will roll their rig dice, and then they will resolve the different locations on the board. Wherever you have workers, you'll remove them, take the action, and so forth. And you can do that in any order, but you have to resolve each and every one of your workers before the next person goes. And so what can happen is that, like, if you have, like, let's say, and because of the fact that, like, you could maybe use the delegate situation there, like, if, like, green and yellow were in that location, maybe there was only one there, green might take the last one from that location, and yellow won't be able to do anything. And so the turn order is very important, and also the actions of which when you remove the different workers, adding +3 or -3 or what have you to the different spots, also is very important as well, as far as and remember that you have to actually complete the full turn of whatever worker you remove before you can move on to the next one. And that's very important with the captain, because of the fact that the captain has to do both of their actions that they do. You can't, like, say, if the captain was on, like, the +3 -3, you couldn't say, well, I'm going to use that +1 of the +3 -3s, and I'm going to collect right there. Then I'm going to export some goods with the next guy, and then I'm going to use the second action of the captain from the +3 and collect more goods. It doesn't work like that. You have to do the full action for that. So after everybody's removed all of their workers, and you've determined, and you've collected all your money, done all the actions, you then figure out whoever the first player is, and then you discard this one and get ready for the next turn. And you begin again. So the leader, then whoever's leader, rolls these 2 dice, and then you start all over with assigning your crew one by one. And as I said, you play until 3 of these locations are depleted. Remember, the minerals never come back. Once they're sold, it's gone. The mines don't rejuvenate, and you collect those. Now, there's one other, and then you collect these, and then once all 3 of them are gone, then that enters into the end game. You play one more turn, and whoever has the most money or points wins the game. One last thing I realized that I didn't tell you is that when you have these neutronium, you can actually spend one of those to re-roll one of these the power die to be able to just try to get something better. Another good, very powerful ability for the neutronium has. And also, if you've placed any of your workers at any of these mining locations, and for whatever reason, because you didn't get the right dice combination, or because somebody else had already depleted the mines before it was your turn, you can then, you get 1 neutronium just, just like you tried but didn't get anything, so here's like a consolation gift kind of thing. And that's the other way you get the neutronium as well, other than taking this leader spot. So, there you go. I mean, it is a very tricky dice worker placement game, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised with the skill that and the probability determination that I had to go through to be successful at this game. But let me tell you more about that in my conclusion. at some point in the future, hopefully, maybe we actually go out and mine space. I guess if we ever actually got to the point where resources were really depleted here on Earth, and we needed to actually then go out and find something, it would be interesting. And I mean, it'll probably never happen in my lifetime, but I'd like to believe at some point we actually are going to these giant asteroids and mining them for whatever resources and riches they may hold. And it is a very cool theme, if you will. Now, they could have placed this particular game in mountains or in like a valley or in a fantasy setting or whatever, but I like the sci-fi setting. I like the whole process, the idea of that, way out in outer space, and like in the cold darkness or whatever. I kind of like the austerity of it, if you will. So that being said, just the theme I said grabs me. I dig it. I like it. Ever since I saw the movie Outland with Sean Connery. If you haven't seen that, that's an excellent old science fiction movie. I've always kind of liked this idea, if you will. And that being said, I mean, the theme is interchangeable, admittedly, but the mechanism is something, the main mechanism, the dice, and the fact that you don't know what you're going to roll, or even what the extra die is going to roll, and things like that, is something that I really enjoy. I mean, the whole process, this is kind of like betting, if you will. You can place, I'm pointing to the game board, you can't see it, but you can place your workers, on all those little spots around, and you can use those to improve yourself, and maybe get, a better rig, or you can maybe get another worker, or even send a worker off to make a little bit of money for you. But you really can't make any money unless you're successful with the mining, and the mining is the really tough part of the game. It's figuring out what you need to possibly roll, and then what those dice combined, what you can use those dice for when you roll them, as far as like the power dice, and you're kind of hedging your bets, as I said, and you are kind of having some sort of weird prognostication of what you're going to possibly be doing. Now, you might be combining that with the other locations on the board that allow you to, add or subtract from the die rolls and things like that, but you have to kind of just hope and pray that things are going to work out in your favor. And it is the smart and it is the skilled player that actually then combines both a reasonable guess as to what, is likely that they're going to be able to roll, but also using the game board to alter that as well, and the different powers and abilities. Now, there's that really fun part where, like, since you're placing your workers one by one on the board, do you take the spot that says, okay, this is you're going to let me add or minus 1 or add or minus 3 from my roll to, like, maybe then be able to use that spot, or do you take the lucrative mining spot first? Because I guarantee you, if you take the lucrative mining spot, then the things that are going to allow you to add that variable, allow that flexibility, they're going to be gone. Smart players are going to take those. So it's a nice juggling act. It's a nice, like I said, like hedging your bets and having some sort of, like, gamble to the game. And I do like games that have that. I mean, I'm all for like the idea of, like, you just no randomness in some games. I understand that. I understand, like, if I place it here, this is worth 3. If I place it here, this is worth 5. Now I got to figure out on my little spreadsheet, which one is going to help me out the most here, and then 6 turns from now, how is that going to affect me, and that sort of thing. I get that, and I can play that game and I can like it, but I do like games with a little bit of chaos, a little bit of randomness, and I don't like to be able to plan for each and every eventuality, if you will. Now, apart from that, I do enjoy other aspects of the game. I like the solar flare track, and like the longer you leave somebody sit there, you're taking that person out of play, but it's an investment type of situation. I kind of dig that. I like the fact that all the resources, other than the power resources, are finite, meaning that, like, if you don't get the good stuff and get it right away, you might end up staring up at the leaders, and so you need to be, in control and going for it, if you will. I like the Marauders, and I like the whole aspect of, like, if you roll doubles, being able to plan ahead. Just all the little quirks, all the little twists, all the little turns really work really well together in this one to formulate a very clever game, a very challenging game, and a very difficult game too. This isn't a game where like it isn't a, like, I know people don't like the point salad thing, but this isn't a game where, like, oh, I go here and I'm going to earn 17 points. No, points are few and far between in this game, and you need to make sure that you gather them up as quickly as you possibly can when you can. You know, just because of the fact that there is a very, very finite amount of resources available to you. So, for all those reasons and many more, I have thoroughly enjoyed playing Darkrock Ventures. I think if you like a resource economic worker placement game with some dice thrown in, I think you're going to absolutely love this one. You know, if the theme grabs you, great. If it doesn't matter, because the theme is a little bit interchangeable. It could have been anything, but it definitely will add something if you do enjoy the sci-fi mining theme. So, if you have any questions about Darkrock Venture, by all means, please ask away. I'll answer those to the best of my ability. As always, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. And until next time, this is me, the Undead Viking, telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright, bye-bye.